when the sound began, a kind of groaning, dry and metallic, somewhere deep in the bowels of the plane, we didn't believe it. We carried on with our books and music, even as the cabin began to lurch and pitch to the side. We were none of us nervous flyers, but, like everyone, we had felt the stirrings of fear during rough weather, and so we had watched the videos, all of them narrated by a retired captain who told us in his deep Midwestern voice that planes simply did not fall out of the sky, that the strange sounds we heard were the engines thrusting or the wheels retracting. The woman in 24F turned from her window, smiling at our group, although the corners of her mouth moved in a quick tremor. We recoiled. Knowledge made us disdainful, and in our disdain, we said nothing. She turned back. The seatbelt lights pulsed. A flight attendant peeled herself from her seat and began to walk down the aisle, stopping to smile and exchange words with the passengers. At our row, she had to step over the shopping bags that lay at our feet, which made her tut and left us feeling like a group of schoolchildren, sulky and resentful. We were flying back from holiday. Hours earlier, we had watched the runway disappear beneath us as we soared up and over the folded hills, and all around us, passengers saying, "What a shame it's over," and "What a lovely time," and "Look at this photo of you," and "How sad to be leaving." We didn't feel sad, only a dull sense of relief that we were no longer responsible for the shape of our days, which would return to familiar patterns, August slipping into autumn, into deep midwinter. The truth was that we were tired of travelling to unknown places to stand in the sun and look at things. This we felt as some deep moral failing. We had money, more than we had ever known, and we spent it without thought, flying for hours to post photos for our acquaintances, everyone we'd ever known, following along on a tiny screen from their couch. Oh, a couch, we thought, a couch, and a carpet, and solid ground. 3 rows ahead, a man began to choke, silently at first, and then in short, desperate coughs. "We need help," said the man next to him, his eyes wide behind fat wedges of glass. The flight attendant waved him down. "Sir," she said, "you need to stay in your seat. The captain has switched on the seatbelt sign." "We need help," the man repeated. "Somebody must do something." We were none of us medically trained, but we had friends who were. And through them, we had learned all the terrible things that could happen to a body. And there were no limits. You thought that there might be, because that was the language that doctors used. You were too young, or too fit, or too tall for this to happen. And still it could, still it did. All the cancers and tumours and various organs failing, the ways that human flesh could be torn and stitched back together. Just days earlier, we had driven past the scene of an accident. A car run off the canyon road. We had slowed right down and peered over. No way to know the fate of the passengers. Perhaps they were far away, boarding a bus, whistling, unable to believe their luck. Or perhaps they lay in some morgue, while their mothers wept and dressed their cold bodies in lace. We felt the thrill of proximity to tragedy, the sudden plunge of a hand into icy water, knowing that it could be withdrawn at any moment. None of us knew death. That was the preserve of the elderly. We were careless with luck and the ambivalence that comes from passing days without consequence. And this would become another anecdote, something to pull out of our pockets with the other souvenirs, because it could have been us. But it wasn't. More jolts, more cries, the man still coughing, a young girl in the back row calling for her mother, although there was no one beside her. We'd heard about this, some animal instinct to return to the womb. We were close with our mothers. Our fathers we tolerated. In return, they treated us with benign indifference, accepting us as they did the furniture that dotted their homes. When we spoke, it was in short, spiked sentences as we watched them watch the minutes tick over until they could stand and resume their real lives. Nothing like the hours spent with our mothers, who knew the names of our friends and enemies and lovers, every word part of a single conversation stretching back to our childhood, bound together by a closeness that can only ever be the result of a kind of withholding. To protect them, we offered up stories about our travels or our petty grievances, which they seized and nursed, all the while watching us with sorrow as if they could see through us after all. Now, we clenched our teeth as the wing tipped up, up, impossibly high. Hours ago it had been steady, a white sail serene above the greens and blues. We downloaded TikTok, like the rest, and picked our destinations from the usual list, sending them to each other with captions like, "Look at this," and "OMGQ, please can we go here?" Everything was beautiful with distance. Drone syndrome, we called it. The reality was different. Reality meant sunburn and queuing for water and audio guides. Everything covered in dust. That was what we thought of now, as the plane plunged again and seemed to dip its nose into the clouds as if testing whether to let go. This was air, and we wanted the ground. 24F turned, her hands grasping for the closest of our group. "Please," she said, "please, I can't stand this. I'm a bad flyer at the best of times, and I feel that something awful is going to happen. My husband, usually he comes with me, but he had to go to a conference in Glasgow, so I had to go alone. I was visiting my sister. She's lived in Crete for years. She retired early." We were silent. We would not justify her fear, although our own was cleaving us in two. "Do any of you have sisters?" Her voice desperate. "I had two. I lost my eldest sister when I was a teenager." How careless, we thought. We had never lost anything. Except one of our number was sick. She was sick and she wasn't getting better. 2 weeks ago, she had announced that she would not come on this holiday. She was tired from treatment. She would slow us down. And although we said we were sorry, secretly we were relieved because, well, and then ashamed by our relief. Too late, we realised our mistake. We had thought of ourselves as a democracy, but if we had any leader, it was her. And without her, we were rudderless. We drifted from store to store, touching things and waiting for someone to tell us whether we liked them. Soon she would hear the news. and would watch in horror a looped version of our deaths on a screen, big at first and then small, our final moments buried amongst the dances and the iced matcha reviews, the get ready with me's and the 5 to 9 before the 9 to 5s. The flight attendant stood. "It's all right," she said. "I will ask the captain to make an announcement. Please don't worry." "But we are worried," said one of us, 24E. And she turned to the woman next to her. She said, "I have a sister. She's older than me. I don't see her much. She lives in a faraway city now." That was a half-truth. There was pain there, words exchanged that couldn't be retracted. We had forgotten. Her story was not ours. She spoke again. "It scares me," she said. "We are very different. There's a lot that can't be repaired." The woman was kind. "It can," she said. "When we land, you can call her. It's not too late." "Ladies and gentlemen, the captain." And the words were lost. "We're having some technical trouble," he said when the buzzing subsided. "You may have noticed we've begun our descent. Please keep your seatbelts fastened. Please don't be afraid." Bottles rolled down the aisle. And all the while, that terrible sound, the metal groaning in agony. Any moment the floor might open, we might see the lights of our hometown fanned beneath us. And with that, we remembered those first leaves of spring in the park down the road. The oat flat white from the coffee cart on the corner, and that restaurant we loved before it closed down last April, the one with the stale fortune cookies. Yellow candles, warm and dripping. The group chat during a season finale, rain on the roof, wind through the olive trees on the drive to the beach yesterday, the warm sand and the waves sucking in and out. Birthday cards stuffed in a drawer. 2 blue ticks, the relief of a text back. All of it spreading over us like late winter sun over a cold courtyard, warming the edges. We waited. An accountant, an estate agent, a fiancé, an addict, a Saturday referee, while the horizon dissolved. We could see it now. The column of beams on the main road, our families safe in their cars, speeding to the airport with the heating on. And when they told us to brace, we reached for each other, palms to palms, and watched it rush up to meet us.